If you remember back from the beginning of the chapter, we have three different forms of a quadratic equation. The first one is called standard form. That's where we just have a number times x squared plus a number times x plus some other number. The other is vertex form, which is written with this x minus h squared, and this one tells us where the vertex is. So h is the x coordinate of the vertex, and k is the y coordinate of the vertex. And the third one is intercept form, where we've got p and q. These are the x-intercepts of the equation. So you guys should know how to graph all of those by now. But what we're going to do in this lesson is go backwards. So usually what's happened is I've given you an equation and then tell you to graph it. This time we're going to look at the graph and try to figure out the equation based on the graph. So let's start with vertex form. That's this one here. And so what we can do here is we can just plug in the vertex. So we know what the vertex is. It's right here on the graph. This is the coordinate point 1, negative 4. And so if we take that those coordinates and plug them in, then we'll get y is equal to a times x minus, then h is 1, that's the x coordinate of the vertex, squared, then minus 4. Now this isn't quite the equation because you can see we don't know what a is. We need to find a. And so we're going to have to do that. And how we can do that is we can take this and we can plug in some other point for x and y. It doesn't matter what point, but we can pick any other point on the line, plug that in for x and y, and then we can solve for a. So if I take, how about 0, negative 3? Again, it doesn't matter. You could use any of these points anywhere along the line. But let's do 0, negative 3. So that's negative 3 for y. Then a times, let's see, that'll be 0 minus 1 squared minus 4. So then we get negative 3 is equal to a times, then 0 minus 1 is negative 1, squared is 1. So this is really just a times 1, or just a. So all we need to do here to solve is add 4 to both sides. So then we get a is equal to 1. So then we can write the equation. Y is equal to a times 1 times x minus h. Well, 1 times anything is just that thing. So oops, this should be x minus 1. Then minus 4. So we could put 1, if you want to put a 1 there, that's fine. 1 times that, or you could just leave it off since it's a 1. All right, then in intercept form, we're going to do a very similar thing. So let's start out with a times, then now we can plug in the intercepts. So one of the intercepts is negative 1, so we're going to have x minus negative 1, and then x minus the other one is 3. So x minus negative 1 is the same thing as x plus 1, and then minus 3. Now we already do know what a is, so a is going to be the same in whichever form you have it. But let's go ahead and find it anyways, even though we already know it's going to be 1. But again, what we would do is we would plug in any point. Let's take a different point this time. How about the point negative 2, 5? We'll plug that in. So the y value is 5. The x value was, what was it, negative 2? So negative 2 plus 1. And then negative 2 minus 3. So we get that 5 is equal to a times, then negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. Negative 2 minus 3 is going to be negative 5. Well, negative 1 times negative 5 is positive 5, so that's really 5a is equal to a. I'm sorry, 5a is equal to 5. Divide both sides by 5, and you can see we get a is equal to 1. All right, so then we go back to the equation here. We'll have a times, but that's really just 1 times. So we could leave it off if we want. But then we're going to have x plus 1 and x minus 3. Now for standard form, there's not really a great way to get it into standard form, just given some points. I mean, there is a way, which we're going to look at in a minute, but it's pretty tricky. The easiest way is going to be to take either the vertex form or intercept form and just multiply that out and simplify. That's going to be the easiest way to get it into standard form. So you could do it with either one. I'll take vertex form and multiply that out. So we'd have x minus 1 squared minus 4. Well, x minus 1 squared is really x minus 1 times itself. Remember that that is not going to be x squared plus 1. So you cannot just square each thing in there. You have to write it out as x minus 1 times itself and then multiply that out. So x times x is x squared, x times negative 1 is negative x, negative 1 times x is negative x, and negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1, then minus 4 at the end. And then we can combine like terms. So x squared, there's no other x squareds, but we've got a negative x and a negative x. That makes negative 2x. And then 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Now if we're looking to just go straight into standard form, this is going to get a little bit trickier. So what we want to do for this is we want to set up a system of equations here. So what we do is we're going to take the standard form of a quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c, and what we're trying to find is what a, b, and c are. So we're going to do things a little bit differently than what you're used to with systems of equations. So we're going to have not x and y and z be the variables we're looking for, but we're going to have a, b, and c be the things that we're looking for. So we want to know what those three numbers are. So what we can do is we can take that standard form, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, and we can plug in some points into that equation for x and y. So we're going to do that for each of these three coordinate points. So this one has x coordinate of negative 1, y coordinate of negative 3. So we're going to plug those in to the standard form of the equation. So we get y equals, so negative 3 equals a times negative 1 squared plus b times negative 1. So that's ax squared plus bx then plus c. And then we get, for the second point, x value of 0, y value of negative 4. So that's y equals, or negative 4 equals, ax squared, so a times 0 squared, plus b times 0 plus c. And then the third one, we're going to do, let's see, y value is 6 equals a times the x value squared, plus b times the x value, plus c. And let's simplify the three of these. So this one's going to become negative 3 equals a minus b plus c. This one's going to be negative 4 is equal to c. And this one's going to be 6 is equal to 4a plus 2b plus c. And now we have a system of three equations here, and we can solve this system of three equations. Now, nice enough, we have negative 4 is equal to c, so we can use that to our advantage. So let's go ahead and plug this value of c into the two other equations, and that will give us something to start with. So then we'd have negative 3 is equal to a minus b, then minus 4. And then for the second one, we'd have 6 is equal to 4a plus 2b, then minus 4. So c is negative 4. Then let's actually simplify these a little bit. So we'll add 4 to both sides. So this one, if we add 4 to both sides, we'll get 1 is equal to a minus b. And the second equation, if we add 4 to both sides, we're going to get 10 is equal to 4a plus 2b. All right, so now let's look at this system of equations right here. So again, what I did here is I plugged in the points into the standard form, simplified it a bit. Then I took this negative 4 for c and just plugged it into the two other equations and simplified that, and we got here. Now let's take this system of equations and solve it. So I could eliminate b pretty easily if I multiply the top equation all by 2. So let's do just that. So times 2, that's going to give me 2 equals 2a minus 2b. And then we could add these two equations together. So 10 and 2 makes 12. 4a and 2a makes 6a. Then 2b and negative 2b, that cancels out. And we can solve this equation then by dividing both sides by 6. So then a is equal to 2. So I know what c is. I just found a. The only thing left to find is b. So let's take this a value and c value and plug them into one of the other equations. Doesn't matter which one, I'll just use the top one. So then I could say negative 3 is equal to a, which is 2, minus b, which I don't know yet, plus c, which is negative 4, and then solve this equation for b. So let's say 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Combine like terms there. And then add 2 to both sides. So we get negative b is equal to negative 1. Multiply both sides by negative 1, and we get that b is equal to 1. So now we found a, b, and c, so we can go back then to the original form of the equation ax squared plus bx plus c, and we can plug in the a, b, and c that we found. So that's y is equal to a was 2, so that's 2x squared, b was 1, so that's plus x, and c was negative 4, so that's plus negative 4, or in other words, 2x squared plus x minus 4. That is the standard form of the equation.